This is why home court matters. This is why you can't have off day. This is why we can't be 11th in the league in defense, right? Like, we got to get to at least middle of the pack, all of those different things. And so as a competitor, it's exciting.
Yeah.
And it's exciting to coach generational talents. And that outweighs the other stuff that we might have to deal with.
Yeah. Well,
brace yourself for a game changer. Stephanie White has unveiled a stunning prediction about Caitlin Clark's future, one that could completely reshape your outlook for the upcoming season. Are you ready for the unexpected?
Laying the foundation for this is what we have to do to compete at a championship level. Yeah. Like, this is why home court matters. This is why you can't have off day. This is why we can't be 11th in the league in defense, right? Like, we got to get to at least middle of the pack. All of those different things. And so as a competitor, it's exciting.
Yeah.
And it's exciting to coach generational talent.
Stephanie White, a veteran basketball analyst and strategic WNBA coach, is known for her candid takes on the game's top talent. In a recent revelation, she shared a series of explosive insights about Caitlin Clark, the rising star whose rapid ascent has captured the attention of fans and experts across the basketball world.
While pushing her to be her best and challenging her to step outside of her comfort zone on the floor. I have the advantage of I was an opponent, right? And so scouting her and this is what we try to do to make you uncomfortable. This is how we game planned for you. And again, being that straight shooter, like, okay, like these are the areas that we need to improve. And putting those pieces together while also thinking about the holistic version of this team that we have, who is incredibly gifted on the offensive end of the floor.
White spoke without hesitation, calling Clark a generational talent, a rare designation reserved for athletes who reshaped the game and carved their names into basketball history.
I'm looking forward to, when you think about Caitlin Clark and a generational talent, the sometimes overlooked Kelsey Mitchell, who's been like one of the hardest workers that I've ever seen from the time I was covering her at Big Ten Network, watching her at Ohio State. And then Aaliyah Boston, who, prior to Caitlin Clark coming on the scene, was another generational talent and is, right? Like, so it's like you think about the pieces that we have and putting that all together. I hope, number one, for Caitlin, that I can be a resource. Mm-hmm. I didn't have the same stuff that she has on a global scale. Thankfully we didn't have social media at the time, which amplifies everything. But I've been through it on a smaller scale. And so hopefully I can help her navigate, some of.
From the very beginning, White's admiration for Clark's game was unmistakable. Caitlin Clark isn't just talented, she's extraordinary. White emphasized that Clark's unmatched court vision, elite scoring ability, and natural leadership distinguish her from the rest. And the numbers? They more than support White's bold assessment.
Full bodies, it's everybody's bigger, faster, stronger in the W. So there's an adjustment period for every rookie coming into this league. It's going to be playing tendencies, trying to send her into analytically where her weaker areas on the floor are, make things difficult. But look, this is a really good young Indiana Fever team. They've got a lot of strong pieces around her. There is no substitute for experience. So where they're starting the season is going to look much different than where they will be at the end of the season.
White praised more than just Clark's talent. She highlighted her competitive fire, high basketball IQ, and ability to elevate teammates. What excites White most, however, is Clark's potential. She's at the start of her journey, and this season could be a turning point. A big part of that growth, White noted, depends on the team around her. With a mix of seasoned pros and emerging talent, Clark's success will hinge on how well they gel. Chemistry takes time. White emphasized. It demands trust, patience, and shared purpose. Clark will be expected not only to perform, but to lead a united, high-performing team.
It's interesting revisiting past comments Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White made about each other, knowing what we know now. Because it's been clear all along, I guess, in retrospect, that there was mutual love and respect between the pair. Coach White had said that Clark was going to be the player who adapted the best to the WNBA coming out of college. She defended Caitlin Clark from early season WNBA struggles. Meanwhile, Clark, who faced White's team in her first WNBA game, called her a great basketball mom.
What stands out this season is the clear contrast between Stephanie White's approach to Caitlin Clark and that of Christie Sides last year. This isn't just a difference in coaching style. It marks a shift in how Clark's talent and potential are recognized and supported. During Sides' tenure, Clark faced intense scrutiny despite carrying much of the team's success. As a rookie fresh off a demanding schedule with little rest, Clark still delivered standout performances and demonstrated strong leadership. Yet, sides maintained a tough, often critical stance toward her game. While this may have stemmed from high expectations, it frequently overshadowed Clark's achievements and added unnecessary pressure during a formative stage in her career.
See that rumored rift between Caitlin Clark and Christy Sides may have sparked fever coaching shakeup. Look, there's not a chance in the pit of hell that they didn't sit down and have a conversation with Caitlin Clark. Of course they did. And I'm talking about the front office, the owner, about her opinion on the coach.
Clark's rookie season was a trial by fire, yet she rose to the challenge, becoming a symbol of hope through her resilience and standout play. Despite this, Christy Sides' relentless criticism often overshadowed her achievements, offering little recognition for the sacrifices Clark made. This season, however, brings a shift. Stephanie White's approach marks a refreshing change, one that embraces Clark's passion, acknowledges her impact, and actively supports her growth.
With Locked On Basketball, folks, I don't think I've heard her speak more glowingly about Caitlin Clark a day in my life. We can add up every single compliment Christy Sides has given Caitlin Clark in her pregame interviews, in her postgame interviews, following the draft, before the draft. We can add up all of those compliments, and it still won't equal the amount of praise that Christy Sides finally decided to heap on Caitlin Clark. Finally!
Caitlin Clark has responded to this coaching shift with renewed energy, embracing Stephanie White's guidance and showing even greater promise. The contrast between Sides' critical oversight and White's empowering mentorship defines the narrative this season. White's ability to connect with Clark, recognizing her drive and potential, is laying the groundwork for a breakout year, not just in performance, but in legacy. As a respected figure in the basketball world, White's recent praise of Clark has echoed throughout the community, highlighting her influence not only in college basketball, but as a rising star shaping the future of the WNBA. Her admiration for Clark is clear, and the belief in her potential is even clearer.
Against a team that did better than really anybody else. Going against Caitlin Clark, part of that was personnel, as she mentioned, when you got DeWanna Bonner, and you have Alyssa Thomas, and you have Dejanay Carrington, you're much more equipped for defending anybody, right? Like, that was the DNA of the Connecticut Sun. So I think the hope is that Stephanie White can bring some of that DNA over to the Fever, and they're going to have to, some of defense's effort, some of it is personnel, so they may have to make some personnel moves in order for that to fully come to fruition.
Caitlin Clark has been a sensation since day one. With her ability to score from anywhere, exceptional court vision, and playmaking skills, she's become a nightmare for opponents. More than just a prolific scorer, she's a complete player who elevates her teammates. Her impact on the game echoes that of basketball legends, challenging coaches and defenders alike. Whether driving to the hoop, sinking long threes, or delivering pinpoint assists, Clark's range, speed, and intelligence leave defenders scrambling. Beyond her stats, her influence on the game is undeniable.
Disposal. So, and it's I don't know how any college team really can prepare for a Caitlin Clark, because you can't do it with one person. Yeah. You can't do it one-on-one, right? Like, it is a whole 5-man team effort. So let me just preface all that before you go with it.
Caitlin Clark has become a role model for young athletes, showing that passion, hard work, and dedication can break barriers and set new standards in the sport. Her impact on college basketball has boosted viewership and fan engagement, bringing much-needed attention to women's sports. The excitement surrounding her eventual WNBA transition is palpable, with many seeing her as a potential game-changer for the league.
Bag to come join you guys?
Yeah, well, I feel like it's just so crazy because the growth that Caitlin has brought to the game, the sheer amount of money that she's making these teams, people are having to move their venues for when she comes to play, and she's getting paid like $75.
Stephanie White's insights highlight how defensive strategies will need to evolve to contain a player like Caitlin Clark. Her mental acuity, combined with her physical skills, keeps opponents constantly adjusting. Clark's influence will push the game forward, challenging defenders and coaches to develop new tactics. As she continues to grow, The question of how to defend her will only become more pressing.
I've never seen, I can't even say, maybe Steph in his early years, but I've never seen a basketball player throw up threes like that and just be so accurate from that distance. I'm gonna give it to Kate. I'm gonna give it up to Caitlin Clark on that. You can't deny that. That's eye test. You don't have to be a basketball player. My mom don't watch a lick of basketball, can watch Caitlin Clark and tell me that girl good.
About the great point guards and post players that our game, not just our league, but our game has seen, they are going to go as the greatest. And I'm excited about the opportunity to work with them. I'm excited about the opportunity that we have to build from those starting points and build out, and for the longevity that those two could have in Indiana, in Indianapolis, and hanging banners in this building. All of those things are so exciting. The future's really bright, and I'm just glad to be a part of it.